Murder mystery arrest. News of a Newaygo County family that they've been waiting for 25 years to hear.
The suspects are brothers arrested in the murder of Shannon Siders back in 1989. And we have team coverage tonight, starting with 24 Hour News 8's Henry Erb, who spoke to both families and knows the connection between the victim and the suspects.
Now, Matthew and Paul Jones were always on police radar, but they've all along told investigators that Shannon was in their car here in Newaygo in 1989, but that they dropped her off alive. Now, police say they killed her.
It's a good day. It's not the end. It's the beginning of the end.
Bob Siders has been waiting 25 years for justice. Now he's starting to get it with the arrest of two brothers who were around his daughter's age at the time she was beaten to death in 1989. Matthew Jones and Paul Jones, both now in their 40s, are in jail tonight without bond. Paul Jones has done prison time for home invasion and having an illegal taser. Matthew has a misdemeanor domestic violence charge on his record. Members of the Jones brothers family say they can't believe the two could have done such a violent crime. Still, Bob Siders says he's not surprised the Jones brothers are now charged with his daughter's murder because they were on the suspect list from the start.
There was a short list that I recall of about 5 names, and they were the first two on it. There was a set of brothers who were these guys. There was a set of cousins who have been cleared. There was another single individual who...
Investigators are not saying what broke this case. A cold case team started looking 3 years ago and even exhumed Shannon's body looking for DNA evidence. Bob Siders says the arrests are a relief, but he still has unanswered questions.
I'd like to know what happened. You know, if these guys actually did do it, and I believe they did, I'd like to know what happened that made them kill her. You know, what went wrong that night that went from some sort of a party to an homicide.
Yeah, and the Jones brothers are staying in the Newaygo County Jail. A judge today said no bond. Live in Newaygo, Henry Erb, 24 Hour News 8.
Here's a look at this case now. Shannon Siders had gone out with friends in Newaygo on the night of July 17th, 1989. When her dad got home the next morning, Shannon was not there. She was reported missing, but it took 3 months to find her. A hunter spotted her decomposed body in the Manistee National Forest. In July of 2012, police exhumed Shannon's body to perform some new tests. And then finally today, Matthew and Paul Jones were arrested on murder charges.
We're getting an inside perspective on this case from a man who made a documentary film on the Siders homicide. 24 Hour News 8's Marley Ginter's in studio with that angle. Marley.
Brian, Dr. David Schock met with family and others connected to this case. He spent a lot of time digging into the story for his documentary, Into the Dark, that he released several years ago. As we told you at 5:30, Schock says the Jones brothers were rough characters, that they were known around Newaygo for getting into fights and harassing people. Schock says Shannon wasn't friends with the Jones, but knew them from around town. He thinks she didn't know exactly what she was getting herself into by hanging out with them.
A lot of these kids got to know each other in school and in other activities and along the river, and friendships arise or acquaintances arise. I think Shannon thought they were her friends and would do her no harm, and I think she was wrong about that.
We were actually the ones who broke the news to Schock. He says he was elated. If you are interested in checking out his documentary, we have a link to his site on woodtv.com. Brian.
Thank you, Marley. And we'll keep working this story throughout the evening. Look for updates tonight at 10 and 11 on 24 Hour News 8.